I know you may not be able to see me very well. I'm not in my usual location. I'm actually sitting in front of a really bright, sunny window, and I don't know why my camera is correcting that to darkness. Yes, I'm sick. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to join you today for office hours. I've really taken most of the last week off LinkedIn. I haven't really been posting very much. I've been in Arizona with some personal stuff to deal with. So I am in Arizona, which is why there is incredibly bright sunlight in this window right here that you can't see. And again, I'm on my travel laptop, which is the beautiful Microsoft Surface Pro 3, oldie but goodie. I'm just opening up my windows, but this is office hours. Ask me anything. I don't have my cool TV studio software on the old Surface Pro 3, so didn't bring my cool signs with me from Italy. So just gonna have to run with this. But I am here to answer any questions that you have, and I will stay here until I run out of energy, until you run out of questions, or until we hit an hour. So this is office hours. Ask me anything. I am sick. I have a cold. I don't think it's coronavirus. I know that's nothing to laugh at. So I'm in a little bit of slow motion, but I'm still hoping to help everybody. If you have any questions that I can answer, remember this is your time to ask anything about CX, UX, or stuff relating to your career. And I'll do my best to give you my opinions on it. Everything's always my opinion. You may agree or disagree. It is 10:17 in the morning in Arizona on February 25th, 2020. This will be archived later on YouTube. We've got 3 people watching on YouTube, and we've got 4 people watching on LinkedIn. So everyone is slowly rolling in. And again, this is office hours. Ask me anything. Again, sorry for the weird darkness of the room, and I have no signs to hold up as I am in America. I leave tomorrow to fly 30 hours home. Thank you for the applause and the thumbs up to the people joining. I haven't done anything special other than sit here and eat my throat candy. I did promise myself while in Arizona that I would eat all of my favorite foods, even if that meant putting on 2 kilograms. And I think that that's been happening. So when I go home, new dedication to diet and exercise. But the food in Tucson's nice. So this is office hours. Ask me anything. If there are no questions today, I won't bug you guys. I'm here to answer your questions relating to CX, UX, careers, issues at your job. You can send me a private message. Let me put something in the chat rooms for a second. I'll give you my URL shortener. Oh man, I forgot how to type a URL. Oh, you should only see this. I am sick. My brain's in slow motion. But if you have an anonymous question, like something's going on at work and you don't want to say it here, you can follow this link and it will send me an email with your question. I'll add it to the YouTube chat room. So that's for anonymous questions. If you have something going on at your job and you don't want to ask it here where I might see your name or whatever, you can do it that way. So welcome to Office Hours Ask Me Anything. Normally I tell some stories while we wait to get more people joining or a question. I'm not sure I have too many stories. This week was really focused on personal things. As I mentioned, I didn't post very much on LinkedIn lately. Hey, it's Andy. Andy, good to meet you. I think it was Jonathan Tesser suggested I follow you, and I'm glad I did. What's your opinion of LinkedIn UX? Do they do anything, in your opinion, that keeps users around longer than necessary? Thank you, Andy. Sorry I have a cold. Great to kind of meet you. I have many opinions on LinkedIn UX. I would say my overarching opinion, and a quick note, there's usually a 30 to 60-second delay between us. My overarching opinion is that the UX people working there, I worry that they're either not the best qualified or constantly being maybe overruled or circumvented, or some stuff's done by interns. I see so much crazy stuff. So on the one hand, you've got lots of poor UX around LinkedIn from events that don't understand time zones. So when I say 6 p.m., it gives every time zone 6 p.m. at the same time. But as for, are they doing the Facebook thing of trying to kind of artificially extend user page time or site time? I would say that it's more the people posting that are guilty of that. You know, when you see the clickbait headline and the blank lines, or maybe an emoji like, see more. I wonder if that's more of the user behavior than necessarily LinkedIn. Obviously, it's LinkedIn's choice to show a truncated version of the post and see if people engage with that. But then you have people who do clickbaity things with it. What else could LinkedIn be doing that keeps users around longer? I think I feel like I have backwards answers to that question. I don't think they do a lot to keep people around longer, but I do believe, and I think you have more information on this than I do, Andy. So you correct me where I'm wrong, because I'm mostly hypothesizing, which is fancy guessing. I believe that LinkedIn's algorithm is really messy and hard to pin down. I think, I mean, I get days where I get nothing new. Everything says 3 weeks old, and I'm like, where did all life forms go? So it defaults to the strange algorithm stuff. I think that, and so then when I try to post something that's time sensitive, it's lost. So are they keeping people around longer than necessary? I'm not sure I can you point to something, Andy, that maybe you think is doing that? Because, and again, I'm sick right now, so my brain's a little bit foggy. But other than the see more, which makes you have to expand it, but I was going to say how in some ways the algorithm kind of deprioritizes people who use like off LinkedIn links and things like that. Yet their algorithm also killed their own articles, all that pulse stuff. So I think we're all confused, and we need you, Andy. But as for your specific question of, do I see LinkedIn doing things with the UX designed to keep people around longer? I see a lot of bad UX, and I could comment for the full hour on it, but I'm not sure I see a lot that makes people hang out longer, other than the usual stuff, which is algorithmic sorting, which takes away chronology, and has LinkedIn deciding for you. Ever since eBay did best match, sorting by best match instead of lower. Turn my mic down. I can't turn my mic down. I can angle it away from my face a little bit. Sorry, everybody. My head is congested. I might be accidentally yelling. Hopefully you still hear me and it's not just Leon. So Andy, can you follow up with that and tell me some of the things that you're seeing, or because again, I'm seeing a lot of funky UX stuff on LinkedIn, but I would say it's more about the way that they have tuned their algorithm for what they prioritize and what they deprioritize. I'm pretty sure they deprioritized my posts for a week after someone blocked me. I disagreed with a guy about how UX should be handled in Agile, and he's an Agile coach, and he didn't like that. Yeah, it's not that it's not that I want to blame users. So Andy says, I can think of too many examples, but I like that you share the blame with users. I think it's just that users are always trying to figure out how to game the system. They're trying to figure out if they should use a pod or what's gonna get more engagement. So everybody found clickbait, blank line, emoticon. Ooh, that seems to do something. Now they're saying like, don't put your link in the body of your post, put it in the first comment, and then people who comment on their own posts, then the algorithm boosts it. So as for what is LinkedIn doing to keep people here longer, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Maybe it'll spark my brain a little bit, since I'm having a very slow day. I think I've had 4 hours of sleep per night for the last week, and which landed me getting sick. So I would love to hear more about what you see, Andy, and love to get to know your thoughts better. Just going to check if we have any comments in YouTube. None yet. Yeah, I have endless examples of bad LinkedIn UX, but getting people to stick around longer. I don't know. Maybe I've just really fine-tuned my feed well by hiding a lot of people and ignoring a lot of things I see. I'm not too sure. What is it? You guys who are here, there's 15 of you here. You guys put in your comments here, because my brain is in slow motion this week. Andy's question is, do you think the UX of LinkedIn is doing anything to specifically keep people on the site longer? I guess longer than they normally or naturally would be on the site. I guess I can think of another thing, but I think Andy says posts as an example, having to scroll endlessly to find older content. Yeah, I've been saying more and more in these live broadcasts, which I do weekly. This is my weekly office hours. I tell people, please subscribe to the Delta CX channel on YouTube, because I know when I go live, it's only shown probably to some small percentage of my followers. I'm not sure LinkedIn is notifying 6,300 people that I've gone live. However, if you subscribe to me on YouTube, I believe they notify 100% of my subscribers that I've gone live, especially if you click the bell to be notified. So please subscribe on YouTube, Delta CX channel. Yeah, I think I've also gotten in the habit a little bit, especially of comments under posts, of going up to the comments and saying, sort by most recent. So again, as I was saying before, ever since eBay started sorting search results by best match rather than what most of us really want, if you think about what most customers would want while shopping eBay, especially in the early 2000s when they did this, what's the lowest price? Most of us probably, now not everybody, so I can't say everyone does this, but I imagine many of us sort by lowest price first, but eBay switched their algorithm by default to best match. They then changed the UX so that it was hard to see where that sort menu drop down menu was. And then when they had statistics on how rarely people changed their sort, and they decided that meant that people must be happy with best match. And I said, well, you made it a dark pattern, you made it hidden. So this is BS metrics. Andy, what else do you have? And other people here, we've got 15 people joining in. Please excuse me, I'm sick. I'm going to do impolite things like this. I don't have a curtain I can suddenly drop. I don't have my glasses on today. Rafiula, is that your name, Mr. Khan? He says, showing more talents to connect, endless. Yeah, I was going to say, I think you can control this in the settings, but how many of us want to know every time someone clicked like on our post? I think there's a setting somewhere, but obviously when they make you feel like, hey, things are happening, people are engaging, it makes you want to be here and stay here. And oh, another notification went off. Another thing LinkedIn did was they took another page from Facebook, which was I've been off Facebook for over 2 years and I recommend it highly. But when you get a private message, LinkedIn emails you that you have a message, but not what content is. Facebook had done that years ago where they used to send you the content of the message. Now sometimes I either get nothing, I get Andy has sent you a message and I get no content, or maybe I get like the first line, but that's not consistent. But either way, I have to go to the LinkedIn site to deal with the private message. Andy says the home feed is a dumpster fire. Followers can't actually follow author content. The algorithm intervenes regardless. Yeah, it's definitely very difficult. I would say, Andy, another one that I can think of now that I'm getting going. Sorry, everybody. It's 10:30 in the morning here, and I woke up at 2 a.m. just from being sick. So I've been up 8.5 hours, but not doing anything brain heavy. So now I'm getting cooking. But now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh my God, someone help me. I'm sick. The hashtag feed is not actually trending. That one I know. Yeah, so that's like a little bit fake when it says like your post is trending in hashtag agile. It's probably not, but it makes you more engaged. So another thing that I found, Andy, is they limit the number of people you can block, and I am slowly creeping up there because I seem to be a magnet for malignant narcissists. Some people I can't block them. That choice is gone. This is the second time I've written to customer support about it. I can't stop seeing content about certain things. So for example, I used to work at Macy's. It was great until it wasn't. And once I left Macy's, I really didn't want to see news about Macy's. But there was no way to stop LinkedIn from showing me news about Macy's because I had many contacts in my network who worked there or still worked there after I quit. And there was no way to say, I don't want to see stuff about Macy's, or I don't want to see this thing. And it's especially broken when someone shares a thing. So say Andy shares a thing, and I hate the thing, but I don't have a way to say, hey, block this thing. You know, Andy shared this thing that I don't like. Thank you for all the hearts and the claps, whoever's doing that. You've gone overboard. I don't have a way to be like, wow, you know what? I like Andy, but I don't like this thing that he shared. Get this out of here. Or if it's a person, I can go and block them, which is part of how my blocking is. There's a limit of 250 blocks, and I think I'm at 130. And limiting blocking doesn't make sense. What if you are unsafe? I see a lot of attractive women post on LinkedIn that they're getting hit on in completely unsavory ways. They should have unlimited blocking. I should have unlimited blocking. So should you. I don't know how to pronounce this name. Mr. Goswami. I look at that name and I want to pronounce it in an Israeli way, but I don't think you're Israeli, so you're probably not Ruchit. But being in a product-based company, what's your thought on doing competitor analysis? So that is a different question. Let's see if we can wrap up a little bit on the bad LinkedIn UX topic. Andy, anything else you want to add in? Any of the listeners want to add anything about anything funky LinkedIn does to kind of artificially keep you around longer? Or, we could say, my 4 horsemen of bad UX: frustration, confusion, disappointment, and distraction. Certainly there are ways that LinkedIn could be frustrating. And I think that algorithms are sometimes designed to confuse you so that you stick around longer and you're trying to find stuff, which I think Andy was hinting at before. And we're also talking about how there's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn you just can't get away from. I mean, can you block a company page? There's a couple of companies that I really dislike, like these guys who are all about design sprints. You guys know I don't like design sprints. I think they're hurting the UX industry. Yeah, let's replace 6 months of R&D and great CX and UX with a week-long solution sketching guessing adventure. I would love to be blocking some of those, but I don't even know if I can. So I think LinkedIn is not getting that. But keep the comments going. I'm going to answer the other question, but we usually keep a few threads going at a time in office hours. Ask me anything. So you guys throw in your comments, throw in your questions. For those just joining, I do have a cold. My brain's a little bit slower than usual. I'm slightly less clever, and I've already been awake 8.5 hours. On 4 hours of sleep. So going back to our new question, while you guys keep posting about what LinkedIn does to artificially keep us on the site or in the app or things like that. Thank you, Andy. The question was, being in a product-based company, what's your thought on doing competitor analysis? How can we conduct it in the best way? The first thing to know about competitor analysis is that you shouldn't go into it assuming the competitors are doing something right. Macronda says, LinkedIn does not promote posts with links from outside. Yes, we were talking about that before, that if I have a link to a YouTube video or a Medium article that I wrote, that it gets deprioritized in the algorithm. So evidently, the only thing that LinkedIn bumps is a 1,300 character post. You guys know how long-winded I am. I can't stick to 1,300 characters. It's killing me. So competitive analysis, let's focus on this a little bit, and then I'll get back to LinkedIn. So we'll spend a few minutes on this. And if you guys have comments and thoughts on competitive analyses, please add those. So I do like to do competitive analyses, but thing one, never assume these competitors are doing something right. Make sure you're looking at them really critically with critical thinking, and make sure that you are going through their desktop, their mobile. I know sometimes a competitive analysis, you're just looking in general at what the competitor's doing. Sometimes you're going with a specific reason to try to learn something. Excuse me, sick. Thank you, Andy. I will feel better. It's just day 2. And I fly tomorrow for 30 hours. So the way that I normally approach competitive analyses is I'll start with the desktop site of a competitor and say I'm just looking generally at what they've been doing, or maybe I'm looking at a process flow. How do people search, or how do people find a product and put it in their cart? And so what I do is I've got a PowerPoint template I use. I know that sounds a little old-fashioned, but I found when I gave it to people in a Word doc, they kind of wanted it in more digestible bites. So now I do it as PowerPoints. And I take a screenshot of a screen, and then I kind of do annotations. So I have a screenshot, and then I have a bulleted list of what do I notice about this page? What are some things this company might be doing right? What are some things this company might be doing wrong? Or what are some things I might be concerned about? Do I see poor accessibility? Do I see inconsistent UI design? Do I see wacky writing? Do I see great writing? What do I think of the navigation menus? So that's typically my format for that. And I just try to always think critically, and again, not assume that anyone's doing anything particularly right. Sometimes will be like, someone will say like, well, Amazon's getting it right, so we should copy them or do something like them. You don't know what Amazon is getting right or wrong. They're always experimenting and they're always changing. So we can't say that, this company got it right. I remember when I was working somewhere and I had to do a competitive analysis every quarter. I had to look at the same like 7 competitors. And I remember that at one point we were looking at something and we were like, oh, check this thing out that they added to their app. Wow, maybe we should invest in doing something like that. And it would have cost the company internally a lot of money. And by the next time I did a competitive analysis, the next quarter, it was gone from the app. So I assume it must have been an experiment that got minimized or removed. So, you can look at that and go, oh, they're doing it, we should do it too. But you have to think more critically about it. So, so to the person who asked the question, please ask a follow-up question if I'm not covering the right types of information that you were hoping to hear, or the right types of opinions. I want to make sure I'm answering your question. So I don't know if I answered it or if you've got more. So please give me a follow-up question. And just remember, there's about a 60-second delay between when I say something and when you see it, which means it's going to take me a while to see what you've typed. Let's see. And Andy says, you can't block company pages as far as I know. Yeah, because otherwise I probably would have blocked Macy's. Caleb says, please talk more about design sprints and why you dislike them. Guys, did we do that last week? Or was that, what did we rip apart last week? I can't remember. So Caleb, I'll do the short version, and also this is covered deeply in my book Delta CX. If you want to grab a copy of that, it's relatively inexpensive but quite long. I burned down a lot of the things that I believe is hurting our industry, and I build up what we should be doing instead. So design sprints, a couple of notes on them, because again, I could talk for hours on it. So number one, design sprints were invented for startups that didn't have UX people working there. So the idea was that the design sprint was invented for a startup that was like, hey, we want to do an MVP, a minimum viable product, which was also a startup paradigm. And but we're not totally sure what we should build, but we know we've got to go fast because we want to get investors, or we have investors and we have to prove to them that we get software out the door. So what are we going to build? Now, if you have a UX person on the team, the UX person on the team can do research with the target market or audiences, they consider product market fit, maybe work with a product manager if the company has one, and take a nice approach from both the user side and the business side of what should we build, and how do we prioritize our features. But if you're a startup and you don't have UX, then you're left going, oh, holy crap, we have to guess at what we should build. So they invented the design sprint as this kind of micro 1-week way to stab at some pseudo UX stuff, because again, hypothetically, there's no UX people at the company doing the design sprint. It's a startup with no UX people, maybe just some founders or some tech people on the programming and engineering side. So thing one, design sprints were invented for companies where you and I don't exist. We don't work there. So it's kind of a distant plan B for what people can do when they don't have us. But when they do have us, why are we doing that? Why are we trying to do this accelerated, quick stabbing kind of thing? And also, there's so many things wrong with a design sprint, especially like we're all going to vote for which idea we like the best. None of us make wireframes or prototypes, hang them up at our desk, and ask our coworkers to come by and vote on which design we should go with. If we're doing UX well or correctly, we're bringing in real users, we're running tests with them, maybe we're testing different designs against each other, we're working more with one concept and iterating on it. So there's a lot happening in design sprints that really don't match a good UX, user-centered design, human-centered design process and approach. You also have the problem that anyone can be a design sprint facilitator. In the circles where I've traveled, most of the people facilitating design sprints were agile coaches. And so they didn't really have necessarily the most fantastic perspective on UX and good UX. So, what happened to us? You would hope that this is something we're doing and we're running, but I find at many companies, these are being run by anybody. Could be a product manager, could be a graphic designer, could be an agile coach, and it gets out of our control. What else don't I like about design sprints? I have a great slide that I use when I do my talks, which is design sprints are devolving. Let's see if I can pull that slide up and share my screen while I'm talking about it. So design sprints version 1, which is still out there and still done, is a 5-day process where you get this full cross-functional team and other people in the room to do this 5-day process of understanding the problem. I gotta get my... Why didn't anybody tell me there was funny things on my face? Where's my slides? Where's my slides? No. Let's see. Is it in this one? I'm going to share my screen. Give me a moment. This is my dev and UX. So let's share my screen and try to find my slide, and I'll talk over it, and then I'll swing back and see if you guys have questions. So let's see. Oh, here's your good friends, the 4 horsemen of bad UX, registered trademark, which I always say, but especially after a famous UX guru recently infringed it. Oh, here we go. This is my slide. Great. So you guys can see this now. So in version 1, you have understanding the problem, sketching solutions, deciding what you like. And this is very general. I know this might not be the exact perfect map of things. Another problem I find with design sprints is that people think that if you guess at the customer journey, the guess at the customer experience, guess at a persona, that's fine. That'll save time. And you'll just figure out later if you were right or wrong. UX is not about guessing and assumptions. That is absolutely the wrong way to go. So what happened was someone came out with version 2 of design sprints, and these exist at the same time that version 1 does. So it's not that version 2 replaced version 1, they coexist. And they decided, make this a 4-day thing. And you know what? We probably shouldn't have the whole team prototyping, testing, so planning the testing, running the testing, interpreting the testing. You know what? The whole cross-functional team just isn't great at that. And we don't need them in the room for this. Let's give them some of their time back, because we don't want to create a sense of codependency or a sense that we can't seem to do anything without them. So design sprints version 2 say, okay, let's understand the problem and sketch our solution ideas in day 1. We'll pick our winner, and then everybody's gone. So the team is only there 2 days, and then supposedly the experts, hopefully CX and UX people, are going to do the prototyping and testing, and then give everybody a report of how it went. Design sprints version 3 are really, really interesting. Companies who were facilitating design sprints found that they would arrive to do a design sprint, and I'm sure be drooling at the amount of money they would get for the facilitation, only to find that what a stakeholder described was the problem was kind of bull, was not a problem, fell apart, sometimes by lunch on the first day. Now your design sprint isn't happening. And so this company or some people decided, you know what, before we do a design sprint, let's do some good UX research before the design sprint starts. Let's make sure that the problem that we're supposed to be solving really is a problem, and let's have experts doing some UX research, making sure we have personas, making sure we have a customer journey map or user journey map that represents the reality, not some aspirational thing, not some guess or assumption. We're going to have all of these documents and research done by the professionals, and then we'll just show up to the design sprint and help everybody understand the problem because we have this good research and information to share with them, rather than the people in the design sprint stabbing and guessing at customer journey maps and personas, as is sometimes done. Hello, Julio. Um, so in this slide, I joke, well, then what's next? If someone figured out that experts should really be doing the prototyping and testing, and someone realized that experts really should be digging into the problem more to make sure it's a real problem and learn more about our customers and their needs and their habits and their journey and all that stuff, well, then what's left? What are we really asking people to get in a room and do? And the answer is sketch solutions. That's ultimately what this is. So on this slide, of course, this has animations and I reveal things little by little. But then I say, you know, that's really ultimately what this is. Let's call the whole team in together and ask them to sketch solutions. And I say, that's my job. It's not collaboration when you're doing my job. If you're trying to do my job, it's now design by committee. And I distinguish the two, and I believe one is good for us and one is bad for us. Collaboration is great. Collaboration means each person is doing their job, and work done by committee or designed by committee is where someone else is doing your job. I do like to do ideation workshops where I collect ideas from people, but I don't make them sketch it, because the exact execution of the idea and the exact placement of elements on a screen or an interface or an experience, I don't need someone to sketch at that. If we get the idea, we have enough to run with, where qualified UX professionals could take that idea and work with some possible executions of it. So that would be the short version of some of the things I don't like about design sprints. So feel free to ask any follow-up questions there. This comes up nearly every week. We have a follow up from the other thing about competitive analysis. He says, sometimes we face that competitors' products are not accessible. We cannot buy them for analysis, but refer their demo videos or Google reviews. Well, again, I'm not too sure what your point is there, but certainly if a competitor's product isn't accessible, I'd be writing that up in my competitive analysis as a weakness or a failure, or something we want to make sure we don't do, something we're going to be better than them. I'm always looking at competitive analyses for how can we be better. Someone's asking about sprint zero. Some people say, while design can't go agile, then sprint zero. Yeah, again, guys, I've written 2 books on this last year. So I have a lot more on this topic than I can possibly get through in office hours. Ask me anything. And you guys ask me this every week. So I'm going to start referring you to past videos eventually. But excuse me. The way that I explain it when I do my talks is that the problem with Sprint Zero is that typically what has happened is a project manager, portfolio manager, somebody has gotten together with the product manager and they have said, okay, here's what this project is going to be, and here's how much time engineering needs. So we're just going to give UX the time left over. And UX, we only want you to do research in Sprint Zero because Sprint Zero was designed for research, and that's when we want you to do it. And I say, you know what? Get out of my stuff. The problem with UX and agile is somebody wants to over control what I do and how I do it. Ultimately, UX can be agile, but we have to be involved early on in the planning. We have to be involved where someone says, hey, here's a project we want to do. Hey, UX, what do you need for this project? Well, okay, I'm going to need I'll do it, and I need 6 weeks. No, we can't give you 6 weeks. We'll give you 4. Okay, then give me 2 people. Give me 2 people and 4 weeks. Oh, okay, we can do that. Like, these conversations have to happen before the project kicks off. And then UX often needs that runway, whether you want to call it Sprint Zero or runway, or you want to call it Fred. I don't really care. But ultimately, we are going to have to start before everybody else. And some of the problem with calling that sprint zero is most people then imagine it's the length of one sprint. Like, if I wanted to do extensive, I've sent out a few proposals for my agency in the last few weeks, and these things had like 6 weeks of in-depth research. If you call it sprint zero, you probably expect me to be done in 1 or 2 weeks, because I get one sprint. And so the problem is I just need this larger amount of time up front. And so the problem is that Agile is not being agile and saying, engineers work this way, but there are other people that we need to collaborate with who have other processes and have other tasks than engineers do. So we have to stop trying to fit UX into that. I'm working on an article about it now. It'll be out next month. So I'll have more out there next month about that. Steven says, having worked in both startup and non-startup world, you have explained design sprints versus ideation well. Thank you, Steven. Good to see you. So my thought is, it's funny how much some of the agilists are caught up on ceremony, and then you'll see people writing like, it's not about the ceremony, and then it's like, well, then stop bitching me out about the ceremony. So I think that some of the agility has to be around, there's a lot of agility and flexibility that's needed that we're not seeing. We have to understand that Agile Manifesto Principle number 1, customer satisfaction is our highest priority. And we can't just measure that through working software, because just because it's functioning doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's quality, doesn't mean it's value, doesn't mean it's what the customer needed. So we have to shift our definitions of working software, and we have to shift our definitions of did it get done? Because these, to me, are some of the things that are killing that agile UX engineering relationship the most. Is we are focused on depth and quality, and I know engineers are also, but they are, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sick and my brain's a little slow. They are judged by productivity, velocity, efficiency. No one is judging them on quality. No one is judging them on, hey, did you end up having to fix that later? How much crap did you end up having to fix later? How much debt was in there? Nobody is being held accountable for a lot of this debt. It just gets absorbed somehow into the next project budget. Oh, we have to stop this project to fix that thing. Magically, it's out of the new project budget. I want to see people truly calculating the cost of a project and not saying the project budget ended when it got released, because then you had customer support having to deal with it. That's money you spent. That should be part of that project. Someone had to figure out what's going wrong, feed it back into the system. Agile says you're supposed to do that, gathering feedback, feed it back into the system, possibly changing requirements. If people were calculating these costs, I think we'd see a lot more companies investing in UX, because they would realize, oh, holy cats, look at all this money we burned later. Look at all the times we had to stop our engineers from working on something new so that we could fix something old that we rushed out or we decided was good enough. I think some of this good enough stuff is really our enemy. So that's some short thoughts on Sprint Zero, design sprints. This is Office Hours. Ask me anything. I'm here another 15, 20 minutes. If you guys have any questions at all in the worlds of CX or UX, we've got 4 people watching in YouTube and 16 people right now in LinkedIn. I'm happy to take any questions. Yes, I am sick. I apologize. I've got a little cold, day 2. So my voice is funky and my brain's a little slower, but I'll do my best to take your questions spontaneously. While I wait for more questions, here's something funny. So here's Chloraseptic in America, and I learned that the number 1 ingredient in Chloraseptic in America is evidently a known toxin, and some consider a carcinogen. So I looked up the Chloraseptic that I get from Amazon UK, which comes from England. Not the same ingredient. Quality, people. What happened to it? Why are we feeding ourselves toxins? Obviously, I'm trying to use this as little as possible until I can get home and get some British Chloraseptic in me. I am overdosing on Cepacol, people. That's got the same active ingredient as British Chloraseptic. Any questions? This is Office Hours. Ask me anything. I am sick. I am in Arizona. I'll be flying home tomorrow, so you will see me in my usual spot later on. I will be doing a podcast on Thursday, normal time, 6 p.m. Italy time. I will be doing it from the Rome airport. I may or may not be wearing a particle mask. So join me. We're going to have the fantastic Michelle Ronson back on the show, and she's going to talk about planning UX testing. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to say about planning UX testing that we can cover in an hour, but you just want to make sure you're following Michelle, and she's got some new courses and training coming up that I think are worth checking out. So that's going to be our Thursday podcast with me live from, okay, I'm going to kill myself now. With me live from the Rome airport on a plane change. Yes, I am trying. I don't usually watch or read the news, but a few of you contacted me about coronavirus in Italy, which is where I live. I do not live near Milan or the Lombardy region, so that is currently unlikely to affect me, but I don't know if something's going to happen in the next day and affect my Rome plane change, which happens on Thursday. This is Office Hours. Ask me anything. We've got another 15 minutes or so. If you guys have any questions, we've got a YouTube question. Chasing River. How do you handle millennials that come in and act like they know everything and discount experienced UX designers? Chasing River, I like your question except for the word millennials. I think a message retracted. Yeah, I don't blame you. I think that question was good, except there's no reason to blame millennials at this point for anything other than avocado toast. So, how do we deal with anyone of any age in any job role who comes in and thinks that they know all about UX? This is a hard question only because this is about basic cognitive psychology and human behavior. It's kind of like saying, hey, I'm dating someone really crappy and they're really annoying. How do I change them? It's really hard to change others. And so I don't often have a great answer for that. And also, I think that that's going to be very situational. I think how I might handle it. Oh, we have a secret question too. I'm going to check that. So if you're watching, I've got the secret question now, and I promise I'm going to answer that next. So how do you handle someone who comes in and thinks they know everything? That's hard. I've had a couple of people who join the show from time to time say that they're just going to give them enough rope to hang themselves. That's always a possibility. I would have to hear more about the particular situation to know a good way to try to handle that, because I tend to handle things in different ways and I can't just say, oh, here's what you always do. But people's behaviors are so different. I have to know a little bit more about the situation. But I would say if you're at a workplace where many people around you are acting that way, and if you have a manager who's not going to support you, I would treat it as they're setting me up to fail scenario, and I'd probably be looking for a new job. If I have a good manager, and I've been lucky to have a couple of jobs where I had great managers, I'm thinking about those good managers. You know who you are, George and Ben, and Norville. If I have a good manager, I'd probably go to them and I would say, so and so, whenever I'm in this meeting, so and so acts like they've got to design the product, or I have to just wireframe what they're thinking. And I've had a couple of those. So if I have a good manager, I escalate it to my manager. If I don't have a good manager, or there's kind of no manager, or I answer to some other team who really doesn't understand my world, and if I think I can't change the situation, I'd probably just start looking for another job. I hope that helps. Good advice. Thank you, Chasing River. Yeah. So whenever people discount experienced designers, it's normally a sign of their own fear and insecurity. Like, oh, this person might make me look bad because I've been saying do it this way, and now they're coming in and saying do it another way. It's really a personal ego clash, and it's really hard to undo people's egos. I see a second secret question has just come in, so let's answer. Let's answer the first one first. So anonymous question has come in. Hi, Debbie. I'm an avid follower of Delta CX via podcast, Slack, and YouTube. Thank you, friend of the show. I'm a master's graduate with human factors and HCI major. Great. My lack of visual design skills have hindered me in getting a job. Me too. I'm learning design tools, Adobe XD and InVision, and I'm building my case study for a personal project to exhibit the skills I've learned. I want my visuals to heavily emerge from my research, so it takes some time to create the new case study. Am I going on the right path? Will it take 6+ months to become an entry level UX designer? Your comments on this will be valuable feedback for fellow students like me. Thanks and sorry for the long question. Never apologize up to me unless you're a malignant narcissist. Then you can definitely apologize to me, but this is a great question and one that I'm sure many people have. And I'll try to boil it down. I think what you're saying is, you don't have a lot of visual design skills. Now, I don't either. So I can speak from experience here. You're learning the tools, but even if you learn the tools, you might not end up a stronger designer. You know, some people are great singers and some people aren't great singers. And even if they take singing lessons, they're still not great singers. So I don't know if you find that you're becoming a better visual designer or just more fluent with tools. Also, ask yourself, do you want a job where they're going to expect you to do artwork, visual design, graphic design, whatever they're calling it? I don't want to do that. So when I'm looking at jobs, I'm only taking jobs that want me as a UX specialist or a T-shaped UX practitioner where I get to do a variety of things. But I'm always very clear when I apply or interview. I am not a visual designer. If you have an existing design system or component library, I'll happily push pieces around, but you do not want me doing the visual design. So, my question back to you would be, um, are you sure that you want to try to have a visual design portfolio? If not, don't. Learn some tools and become good at those tools, because jobs will look at those tools. Also, I couldn't tell from your question what you wanted to do or what you're doing now, because you said, will it take 6 months to become an entry level UX designer? I don't know. So maybe you just graduated. I'm not sure, but I would say make sure you may want to. Here's what I would suggest: go to my YouTube channel. You may have seen it already. I've got a couple of old podcasts that might help you. I've got well, we've got Lee doing storytelling. Look for that one. We've got I've got a it's in a playlist of other random crap. It's my hour-long thing about portfolios. Maybe watch that one. I've also got that as a Medium article. I probably need to know more about this. I feel like I'm not giving you as much information as I could. I'm wondering if I'm hitting this, but um, will it take 6 months to become an entry level UX designer? Possibly, whether or not you're an artist. But I would say decide if you're trying to become an artist. If so, you want to be taking art classes, visual design classes, learn typography and color theory and all these things. And brush up on your art skills, but make sure you want the job that wants you to do art, because I know I don't want that job. That's just me. So decide that. Maybe private message me to continue this a little bit. Now, obviously, I'll keep you confidential, but I hope I'm going in the right direction. I hope that helps. Let's see the other secret question that came in about 5 minutes ago. Oh, same thing. Hi. What advice do you have for entry level UX designer who recently graduated as human factors in HCI, but you lack visual design? Hi again, you. I did see it. I'm sorry. I've got so many windows open. I missed it before. So send a follow up question if you have it. But I would say I believe strongly in UX and CX specialties and subspecialties. I believe that we shouldn't be jacks of all trades. I believe we shouldn't be unicorns. I believe that we should do what we are best at. And you can always expand your skills and broaden and try to learn more, but don't try to be and do things if you just get the feeling it's not right for you. The universe will tell you. If you're religious, you might think it's a message from God. If you're not religious, maybe it's the spiritual universe giving you a message. Usually there's messages out there about what's a good match to us and what isn't. And I believe strongly that people should do jobs and pursue jobs that match what they enjoy doing. I don't enjoy doing visual design, and I know I'm not very strong at it. So I like to focus on jobs where I can do IA and interaction design is my long bar of the T, and then more is the short bar of the T, the kind of research and testing. But there's lots within that. So decide what you want to do and who you want to be. Your advice given here is good therapy for those of us who've worked alone for years in dysfunctional environments, thinking the problem was us instead of realizing the UX environment is broken within companies. That just came in anonymously. Thank you, anonymous person. I do have some stuff about this. I have we did a podcast on imposter syndrome with Seth Finkel. Find that one in the YouTube archives. DeltaCX.tv will bring you to the YouTube channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when cool things are happening. We did a podcast with a psychologist on imposter syndrome. And what I always say about imposter syndrome is that, sure, we all have insecurities and we all wonder, am I really good at something? Am I as good a singer as I think I am? Am I as good an interaction designer as I think I am? But imposter syndrome, in my opinion, almost always comes from a crappy job. When you have a good job where you feel supported and understood and they care about the UX and you're given some appropriate time, some appropriate budget to do the right thing for the value of the customer, you don't get imposter syndrome. When you're at a job where everyone thinks they're a UX designer, everyone's a UX designer, everyone's going to sketch solutions, everybody wants to do your job, and you might not have a lot of choice. And then you think, wow, they hired me, but like I kind of don't get to do my own job. Am I bad at this? Like, are they taking this away from me because I'm bad at this? So I believe that imposter syndrome is really almost always the sign of a bad job and a bad work environment. So if you're feeling imposter syndrome, before you blame yourself and before you say, I'm just feeling insecure, take a look at it. Is it the job environment that's making you feel like disempowered or like you're incompetent? Oh, someone is leaving comments on my episodes while I'm talking. Someone says, this video was super insightful. Hey, you're welcome to the person who posted that. So again, join me on deltacx.tv and subscribe on YouTube. But yeah, there's a lot we can't control about our workplaces, and a lot of our workplaces are not going to change until they feel more pain. They have to see how unhappy users are. Right now, they don't. They say, customers, they'll figure it out or they'll contact support. But nobody is calculating the cost of them having to figure it out, or them leaving because they didn't want to, or having to contact customer support. What does that cost your company to pay for that customer support? Nobody's calculating what it costs for a UX person and a product manager and CX peeps and data scientists to have to figure out what went wrong and how are we going to fix this. And then back to engineering. Oh, get stuff into the backlog, guys. And gals, and everybody else, we got to fix this. Nobody's calculating that. Those costs magically disappear. They're part of no budget. If we were to start calculating this stuff, in my book, I call for us to calculate not only this stuff, calculate the risk of crappy UX and putting it out into the public. I want to calculate the real cost of a design sprint. You put how many people in a room for how many days to do what? What came out of it? Did that idea ever get expanded upon? Did it get programmed or built or engineered, or did it go to the public? Did it fail when it went to the public? Like the problems we're having right now, in my opinion, all come back to everybody has put things on these little islands where they can look at this little island and go, well, that was a success. But of course it's not. So they go, well, design sprint, that week was really fun. We did such good team building. We did great sketching. congratulations. Here's glue and macaroni and a plate. Congratulations on your craft week. We just burned tens of thousands of dollars. What did we do? And could we have done that or better for less by letting our UX people do their own freaking jobs? Or just run an ideation workshop, which for me is one day. Anonymous person says, thank you, Debbie. We'll connect on LinkedIn and talk more about it. Thank you, anonymous person, who included a smiley face. So let's see if there's any other questions. Nothing in YouTube, nothing in LinkedIn. I've got about 5 more minutes, guys, and then I'm going to just fall apart. Might run out and do errands. It's going to be one of those days. And then flying for 30 hours tomorrow. So ask me anything, office hours. Let me know what questions you have. You can always message me on LinkedIn, or you can go to the Delta CX website and shoot me an email, deltacx.com. If you fill out the contact form, it goes to me. You can also leave some comments on YouTube. Excuse me. Yes, I am sick. Thanks for putting up with me being a little bit pale and sweaty and cloudy, but not in a cloud way, but cloudy, partly cloudy. So again, we do office hours every Tuesday at roughly this time, about 6:15 p.m. Italy time, because usually I am based there. I believe I'm not in danger of coronavirus, but I'll keep you posted. Right now, I am living on Cepacol and Emergency. This is not sponsored. I'm just very grateful that I'm full of vitamin C and hopefully killing this cold. Yes, I will fly with a particle mask so that I don't get everybody else sick. And then I wear this cool scarf over it so I look fashionable. But you guys know me. I've got no sense of fashion, no sense of visual design, no sense of fashion. I'm a good art director because I have the ideas and I can communicate things to people, but don't make me do the ideas. You guys know I can't draw. So I guess we'll start wrapping it up. And another anonymous question coming in. You guys are great with the anonymous questions today. Thanks for the talk today. You were burning even though you were sick. Hopefully burning in a good way, whoever wrote that. I can tell I'm not 100%, and those of you who are friends of the show probably can tell I'm not as sharp as usual. But hopefully I was able to come up with some good answers for people because you had good questions today. And eventually I'll just do a podcast on the whole design sprint thing and design thinking thing. And we'll just tell people go watch that so we don't have to talk about it every week. But I can see why you're asking about it every week because it is a hot topic and there is a lot of confusion over should I do this or should I not do this or what does it mean to my job or the industry. More Cepacol. Can you overdose on Cepacol? I don't think so, but I'm going to find out. Made in England. Oh, then that means there's probably quality standards. Thank you, Cepacol. Again, not sponsored. I'm just happy right now that something is numbing my throat. Everybody stay well, please. Stay inside. Great time to work remotely. I remember at Macy's, we used to be convinced, and I had to go into an office for my first year there, and I worked remote my second year. It was like, what did we call it? Macy's Ebola or something. Someone would get a cold or a flu, and I swear it would go around the building, the building that Macy's is just now closing and firing 800 people. I swear it would go around that building for months, from like September to April. You usually had 3 colds, and sometimes I would just be like, I'm working from home for a week to see if this clears. So I loved working from home. I love working remotely. Now I don't have a choice because I'm in Italy. But I picked quality of life, and I think we should all be able to. So yeah, colds, flus, coronaviruses, remote work. We've got a podcast coming up on remote work later in March with the fantastic Malud Ceccarelli. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but she is a superstar. You want to follow her too. So again, quick notes, catch you on Thursday, normal time, 6 p.m. Italy time for our super friend Michelle Ronson joining us about planning UX testing. Then we've got Monday, March 2nd with Jonathan Toller and possibly a second special guest. We're going to be doing a podcast on the relationship between product managers and UX. What else is going on? Next week, we'll also have a podcast Thursday the 5th. We'll also have a podcast on Thursday the 5th on the science of UX. So lots of good stuff coming up. Thanks to everybody for joining today. Remember, this will be archived on YouTube, but thanks to the LinkedIn algorithm, will fall into the gutter, never to be found again. So please do subscribe to Delta CX on YouTube. Just go to deltacx.tv and that will redirect you to the YouTube channel. Subscribe and hit that bell to be notified when I am live, which tends to happen 2 or 3 times a week. And love to get you guys involved with your questions and comments. So that being said, I think I'm going to wrap up. Thanks to everybody who joined in today in both the chat rooms as well as the secret anonymous questions. And hopefully, people got some information that'll help them out at their jobs. That's always my goal. Ammunition for you. Everybody, stay well. Have a great week. And see you Thursday from the Rome airport. Please stay well.